beautiful day to you, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Women Series, where we capture developments and stories that impact women. I am Ayomide Oguntoye. Now, the sun, the lights, the camera, actions, and whatnot is happening today at Woven Finance. Today, we want to learn about how Woven Finance are contributing to the fintech space, and most importantly, how they are demystifying digital payments in the fintech sector, in the financial services. Let's put it that way. And I have with me today the CEO of Woven Finance, Kofo Arowolo. Hello, how are you doing today?
Hi,
You seem
lovely
very
to be
much
here.
laid back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's certainly not how I feel inside.
But well, they say that's for tech people, that they're very, very laid back and quiet and very calm. Is that where you are?
Well, we have to be because we're dealing with so many fires at the same time.
And it's so good to meet with you.
Oh, thank you for coming
Yeah.
in.
How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm doing very well today.
Yeah, so let's get to the chase. Let's get to the business of today. I saw your byline and I find that very, very compelling and interesting. Demystifying digital payments, basically. And for a start, the financial sector or the fintech sector seems to be very much saturated. And I don't mean that in a way that they're not doing good things. I mean, good things are happening in that sector, amazing stuff. And we are trying to, and the end goal is definitely to drive financial inclusion and make these things very simple and easy for people to use, very much so. But aside from that, I mean, I would still get to what we want to talk about today, but don't you think like the space is actually saturated? I mean, I'm just not putting you on the spot, but I mean, let's hear from you, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is Nigeria has a lot of problems to solve.
Okay.
And payments still has a lot of friction. I mean, I'm sure you can remember the last time you went somewhere and you made a payment and there was a challenge, whether it be a card payment or trying to make a payment online. So there are clearly still problems to be solved. So whilst, and you know, Nigeria, we have over 200 million people in Nigeria. We have, quite a significant population of the market unbanked. So we need to look at financial inclusion broadly, and we need to look at how we provide infrastructure to businesses that encourage and enable financial inclusion.
Very much said. I very much agree with you. Totally agree with you. I just wanted to hear you speak on that as well. Now, speaking on financial inclusion, speaking on problem solving, which of course there is a problem Woven Finance is trying to solve. I mean, while some think the phrase financial inclusion is loosely used, there are still some innovations. There are still innovations in the financial sector that are solving problems, which of course I believe that Woven Finance is here to do. In that regard, specifically, what solution is Woven Finance solving? All
right, so we at Woven Finance, we are here to empower African businesses to become profitable, vibrant, and successful.
Can you take that again? Sorry.
Sure. We are here to empower African businesses to become profitable, vibrant, and successful.
Profitable, vibrant, and successful. Those are the three keywords.
Yes. So we're focused on providing optimized payment solutions to African businesses. And that's really your large conglomerate in Lagos to your small mom and pop shop in Asaba. They all require payment solutions. So that's really what we're here to do. We provide payment infrastructure to businesses. We are a business to business. So we provide our services to business, who then engage the end users, which customers, in engaging them around payments, optimizing payments. The reality is, if you're a business and your customers find it difficult to pay you, you're losing business, right? So that's what we do. We provide the infrastructure, value-added services that really solve these problems. As I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of legacy issues in Nigeria, you know, infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. So we leverage technology to bypass a lot of those challenges and to really simplify life for business owners. So that's what we do.
We're at a time where was so much driving the financial inclusion topic or financial inclusion phrase, and everyone just wants everyone to be financially savvy. So maybe they bringing the unbanked people and getting them banked, and then the less, just basically driving the financial inclusion space. How is Woven Finance plugged into this regard?
All right, so Woven Finance is very much plugged in the sense that one of the value propositions we have is actually a product targeted at a lower barrier of entry
Okay.
for financial products. So to have a bank account, there are typically some criteria that you have to meet, and naturally, Nigeria being where we are economically, there's some that will be unable to meet that criteria. But we have products that are actually targeted at lowering the barrier to entry. So you can have, a virtual account, mobile money wallet, leveraging woven finance to carry out your financial transactions. And from there, once we have more information about you, we're able to serve you better as well. So that's one of the many key value propositions that woven finance has to offer.
Now, I'm going to ask a very important question. How about loans, servicing loans? So someone had said that there's so much data flying around. There's so much information going around. So why do we still need collaterals and all of those things when there's so much data about people and what they do and what's not? So you can literally see like their finance.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So how, in that way, is there anything Woven Finance is doing regarding to people accessing loans?
So in terms of Woven Finance, what we do in the loan space is we offer payment services to Lentex.
Okay.
But we also have value-added services in terms of data provision. And we offer partnerships with other data providers. And what happens over time is that as the market matures in terms of the data it has on people, people will start collaborating more strongly. The richer the data becomes, then the lower the barrier of entry for loans. And we're speaking of collateralization, assets, and things like that. But naturally, it's really important that we're able to understand who we're providing these services to. I think we need to understand that the Nigerian fintech space is still very much in its infancy. People say it's saturated, but it's still very much in the early phases. When we look at the likes of India, and the great stead, yes, indeed, and the great stead they have made as well. So I think it's important to understand that we're still very young in our fintech life cycle. We've achieved a lot in a very short period of time, but there's still so much to do, and there's still a long way to go. And as I spoke earlier about maturity, once we mature as in the ecosystem, working together, collaborating, we'll be able to come together and share information, and thereby offer better services to the customers.
I think the key business word I've learned so far throughout 2022 will definitely be collaboration.
Absolutely.
Collaboration. And I hope we get to the point where we're not competing and then we truly collaborate in the true sense of the word collaboration.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You wanted to add something else?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to add that what we're looking at is really alternative financing options, right?
Okay.
Alternative financing options for those in the unbanked.
This seems to be like the second time I'm hearing that word today.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have to become more creative and innovative, right? In solving these, challenges that perhaps are outside of urban spaces, solving challenges in the rural spaces and things like that. If we look at other countries like Kenya, they've been able to leverage mobile money in such significant ways to uplift different segments of the market, such as agriculture, et cetera, et cetera. And we look forward to moving in that direction and solving some of the key challenges in the Nigerian space as well.
I very much like that angle you're coming into. So this is not to an end user, but for business to business. And I must definitely agree with you that payment solutions within businesses is a big hassle. I mean, everyone would have gone through one of those experiences or had similar experience, and we know how these things can be really frustrating. Well, I have a side business as well, and I know how frustrating that is.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Are you on Instagram?
Yes, I am.
All right. Okay. So, I mean, there's an entire space of simplifying payments for Instagram. I mean, there's some way happening now. Obviously, you can click a link; it will take you to Instagram, to WhatsApp, and you pay, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, Woven Finance, we have a myriad of value-added services that target that market specifically. If we look at what Nigeria is doing right now, obviously as a result of the COVID pandemic, we have a lot of, young entrepreneurs in the country, and they're looking for payment solutions, and they're looking at how to procure goods in other countries, and naturally how to carry out trade in Nigeria and perhaps other countries in Africa as well. So, I mean, when you think, payments, that's what you're really thinking about. You're thinking about a company that will help you reach your target market, accept payments and collections seamlessly. So that's what we focus on.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, so some people actually believe that technology is a bane, and some people think that it is boon. Now, in terms of demystifying digital payments that you just spoke about, how is Woven Finance leveraging tech? I mean, we've talked about Instagram now. You've talked about how it connects you to, I mean, that's of course, it's still in the family or in the birthplace of technology. But specifically, how is Woven Finance leveraging tech to achieve this, and how does it help to drive financial inclusion, most importantly?
Sure. I mean, obviously, we don't want to give away all our trade secrets,
Okay.
but our tech is essentially agile. So what that means is that from a connectivity perspective, if you are a business, you easily onboard onto our platform and be able to have access to our multiple payment rails. You'll also be able to do that in a secure manner. One of the things businesses, or one of the challenges businesses face is, around risk, fraud, et cetera, right? So as a business-to-business fintech, we actually leverage our relationships to work with the banks to mitigate that. So what that means is that not only is your business safer from the risks of business, but also you're able to seamlessly collect and also make payments to your suppliers as well in other parts of Africa.
So you don't want to give away your trade secrets, but I honestly want you to touch on something that is affecting quite a number of people now. And this is coming from, no disrespect to any traditional payment service or traditional banks. We are going through a lot when it comes to that. I mean,
all right, that's good to know. I mean, there's still problems to solve.
Yes,
okay.
We know what this is. I mean, people make jokes about this now. If you really want to go to restaurants or something and you try to use some particular bank, your credit card or something to pay, you probably might end up washing plates or something.
Yeah.
Exactly. So in this regard, is there anything that Woven Finance is doing in that regard to help the economy and help people as well? I mean, move past, this is 2022. Indeed. We're going into 2023. Indeed. We can't keep moving like this.
Indeed.
Is there any solution Woven Finance is providing in that regard?
Yeah, so I mean, our tech stack, speaking to our tech stack, in terms of reliability as well, that's one of the things that is one of our value propositions in terms of reliability. But in addition to that, we also have a strong customer service angle to our value proposition as well. No, but you're absolutely right, right? You will know that when you use different providers, you get different levels of service.
Yeah.
So whilst we have, a heavy level of saturation, perceived saturation in the market, but here we are still facing the same challenges, right?
So just say moving in circles?
Yes, I mean, at a point, we will have to mature and there'll have to be a lot more collaboration. I mean, there is partnership happening right now, but it's still at a certain level. So over time and with changes in the regulations and the ability to, work together, partner in different ways and share information, et cetera, we'll be able to elevate the space. But right now, in terms of Woven Finance, I mean, one of the things that we're looking at is that, we have a plethora of value propositions, but what we've chosen to do is focus on a few and do them very well. Okay, so in terms of reliability, in terms of risk and, being regulatory compliant and ensuring that, we're taking care of all your payment angles and elements and, requirements, that's what that's our vertical and that's what we're focused on.
All of these have been tested.
Yeah. So we're currently in a particular mode in our journey. In our journey, we're currently in a particular mode in our journey, but you'll certainly hear about us more next year.
When next year?
I guess you'll have to wait and see.
All right. So we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah. I mean, we already have customers, to be honest. We already have. But in terms of moving into the market in a more sort of dynamic manner, we're certainly looking at that in 2023.
So basically, you're calling on business owners to, I mean,
Indeed. Our business, we're a business to business. So fintechs, restaurant owners, retail, financial services, et cetera. I mean, I'll paint a picture for you. I mean, do you invest? Okay. If you invest, maybe if you have a money market fund or fixed income fund, typically you go to a bank and you'll have to pay into an account and they'll have to do reconciliation on the back end, et cetera. So there are some of the other problems that we look to solve that our solution does solve as Woven Finance. So yeah, we have a number of value propositions, and we're really excited about helping businesses. We're very passionate about helping businesses to solve their payment challenges. Whether you're a large business,
I was going to ask
small
that,
business,
what kind of business owners are you looking forward to working
so we're
with?
MSMEs as well as large
Nano.
Small businesses. We do have so that's the beauty of our onboarding process. So we focus on being regulatory compliant as well, just to ensure that everyone is protected. So there's certain criteria that the smaller entities will have to, and then for the larger entities, naturally it's dependent on considerations such as volume of transactions you're doing. So if you say you're a nano entity and you're doing huge voluminous transactions, then naturally that's a problem. But we have our KYC. We do the necessary due diligence prior to onboarding our merchants, and then we're able to provide them with tailored services depending on where they are in their journey as a business.
I think you've answered quite a number of my questions. I mean, how this is going to work. You've talked about that, the set of business owners that you're looking forward to working with. You've answered that. How the plans in which you're going to work with these people. You've talked about that. But there's also one very tricky question I want to ask.
Sure, go for it.
Yes. And that, of course, speaks to the Naira redesigning going on at the moment. Honestly speaking, your thoughts, do you think this is the right time for that?
That's an interesting question. You actually asked two questions. One, the first is the Naira redesign. Actually, countries such as China, depending on the denomination, they actually redesign them every couple of years. They take them out of circulation every 6 years. So for example, the dollar, $1 is 6.6 years, and the higher denomination are slightly less. So it actually happens. The Naira hasn't been redesigned in 20 years. So I think if the question is, are we due for a redesign? I would have to say, going by, best practice, yes, we are.
What is this the time?
The timing, that is the question. That is the question that I'm unable to answer, unfortunately. However, the redesign is definitely something that, we should look at doing. The timing is out of my circle of influence. So I'll leave that to the powers that be.
Well, I'm going to accept that. I think we've been able to answer this question, and now definitely I have a grasp, an understanding of how Woven Finance is demystifying digital services, digital payment services, and of course, the most important thing is that this is a business-to-business service.
Correct.
Yes. Thank you for having to do this with me. It was such a short time we were able to talk about
cover a lot of ground,
and definitely understand where exactly it's coming from. Looking forward to next year when this is going to launch. I hope you'll be able to call us and say yes.
I will do so. I will definitely do so.
Yes. And that'll be all on this episode of the Women series. I hope you learned one thing or two about demystifying digital payment services with Woven Finance, the CEO, Kofo Arowolo. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to reach out to me, kindly send a mail to womenseries@proshare.co. Follow us on all our social media platforms showing on the screen. Also subscribe and log on to our websites at www.proshare.co. And until next time, thank you for watching.